Okay, it's August in the market garden. We're here at Western Spring Farm, doing a quick tour of what crops we've got in and what's going in at the moment, and just to see how it's looking in summer. At the moment we're planting a lot for winter, so you see lots of small plants of turnips and radish and lots of tiny seedlings coming up in those empty beds. This is the root section of the market garden, and we're just going to walk up through the plot. Still got our harvest things out. I'm just going to walk up through and then see some of the field crops and the orchard that's been establishing really well so far. So here we've got some more root crops, and then we've been sowing some spring onions and leeks for winter. Some celery here that's been going for months now. It's been really good, really lush. Leeks, rainbow chard. This is our Kybrock that went to flower. We had a good crop in spring. You might remember in early veg boxes, and we've just let it flower now, and it's absolutely full of life. So many bees in there coming across from our beehives are right at the top of the site, so they come all the way over and pollinate all the crops all the way along. So there's the market garden. This is just the bottom 2 blocks at the moment, and here's a lot of winter crops gone in here, so you might see some tiny carrot seedlings coming up. And then we move up to some of our herbs. So some lovely mint and basil. Our outdoor basil's done really well this year. And a bit of fennel interplanted with beans. And we're experimenting here with some living pathways. So we've sown cover crops that fix nitrogen and help the soil, such as clover. We've sown them in the pathways. That's these guys just here. And hopefully that's fixing nitrogen and really helping the crops in between. So a bit experimental, but if we can get living pathways going here, then that will really help, because it means the pathways will be the cover crops and the nitrogen and the soil fertility for the crops in between them. And here we've got our beans, doing lots of beans this year, lots of bolotis, dwarf beans, purple beans. And here we've got our courgettes. So this area of the market garden was really rich in perennial weeds, so lots of nettles and docks. So we've decided to use this reusable landscape membrane, which is basically woven plastic, so not ideal, but it's really great at covering up the weeds, keeping the moisture in the soil. And in the meantime we're going to grow we've got lots of courgettes in there, and then after that we can take the cover off, and then it will be nice weed-free soil for more market garden. We've got more herbs in here, so more mint as well growing. And this block here is just at the top end of the market garden. This is where we've been putting all of our residue. We're sort of trialling a compost in situ here. So these beds here will be market garden beds next year. So we're just bringing up a lot of the greens and plant waste, such as these turnip tops, just spreading them along the ground, and then that'll be feeding the soil here and giving it a bit of feed for next year's crops. So it's kind of compost in situ rather than moving it to big compost piles. We're moving it around. You see our berry bushes here. Even had a little crop here first year of red currants and white currants, and then we're just moving up into the orchard now. So it's been really dry. You can see the hills around us, really quite brown. It's been a really hot, dry summer so far. Heat waves, more extremes of weather. We're finding the sort of low tillage system, and sort of planting cover crops between, keeping the soil covered. It's really helping with these more extremes, helping us to be more resilient, and also just improving soil health. So we're here in the first of our field blocks. So the pattern up here is we've got a row of orchard trees, which you can just see behind our water tanks. So we've got a lot of medlars in here. And then we've got a strip of wildflowers. You can just see in the background there, absolutely buzzing with life. And then we've got crops in between, so lots of kale, lots of cabbage. Pretty weedy now, it's quite late in the season. We no longer need the mesh over these because the plants are nicely established, so you can see they're looking like really healthy. And that'll keep us going through the winter. Lots of Savoy cabbage, red cabbage. And this area just here will be a green manure. So we'll sow some Phacelia or clover, which is great for soil health, fixing nitrogen. We'll just sow a mix of different green manures in there. and then it'll flower, and then we'll terminate it in the spring and plant some crops in. And you can see most of the land, the alley crops as yet haven't been established, so that's longer term plans. So between these rows of fruit trees, to get some different cover crops in, different grass species, different things to increase the biodiversity of the site. So it's really only the lower end at the moment, the market garden and a couple of small crops in the alleys that are cultivated. And then we've got one small squash field at the top where we've got loads of winter squash, also some more courgettes and patipans, which are summer squash. And here's just a small bed of beetroots for winter beetroots, again just a very small area. We're just cultivating this year just to get a winter crop of beetroots. You can kind of see the pattern of the alley crops here. The fruit trees are small now, they've really established well and looking really healthy. They've mostly got an undercrop of berries, so we're trying to maximise space. So in addition to the wildflower strips, underneath the tree rows we've also got berries planted, so blackcurrants, raspberries, gooseberries and the like, and then crops in between. So squash is a great one for covering lots of ground, as you can see. These squash plants are really tiny, and now they're just really taking over this field. So we just let them all grow out really far, and then we'll be harvesting a lot of these through the winter for your winter veg boxes. So that's a quick tour of Western Spring Farm in August. That's how it's looking. I'm looking forward to really getting these fruit trees more established. We might be doing some more fruit tree planting over winter, and getting these cover crops into the ground as well. So I hope that was useful to see the site, and thanks for watching. See you soon, bye bye.